your career, like your financial, what are you doing in that whole world? What are you doing with the finances?
If it touches money, that's what I work with. I help business owners at present. And with that, I have a company and it's online and it's called The Secret Profits. What I do is I can take any business and I can show them how to keep more of their profits, because many times business owners think that it's all about more and more and more sales. Well, it doesn't matter how big your gross income is. If there's very little net left over, there's just a lot of activity, but we're not retaining any profits. So I have that. I also do a lot of teaching with individuals. Present, I'm doing a contract for AARP with a financial resilience series, which helps people manage their financial resources. We do, those are once a month. They're online here in the Virgin Islands, but they're open to everybody. And we go through everything from can you afford home ownership, the hidden cost I build in, like repairs and maintenance, and if you're going to sell it in 5 years, plus the payment and everything else, you know, credit card perks, balance transfers, account titling. How does this affect your estate or your ability to borrow money, trusts? I mean, all different kinds of things. So if it works with money in the business sector, I have a specific goal there is to grow the profitability, and it doesn't always require adding more employees, buying more inventory, or changing locations. And then on the individual side, it is also, you know, retaining more, but it's also structuring your financial life so that you can leverage it a little better, and then also make wise decisions. Because we don't, when you're adults, at least what I see, you get an education, but once you're thrown out into the world, and if you go to college or whatever, you get credit cards, you can get into debt. There's no real credentialed course on how to have a successful financial life. It's trial and error. And about, well, when you went ahead and you co-signed on this, what does that really mean that you just did? You know, if you were what does this really mean? So I really work in the finance, and that's what I've done for, I said, well over 30 years. And I've worked in the individual, I've worked in the corporate world, and then I've been an independent consultant for 30 years because I've had a rather unique background from corporate world on cost accounting, taxes, and a variety of things. So wow. It's difficult to describe what I do sometimes because no two people need exactly the same thing. But when people will work with me, or if you'll talk to me for just a little while, answer my questions, let's do it. I can identify things very quickly, and then we can make a plan or a roadmap, get you some instructions. Let's do this and this and this and this, and here's the outcome. I enjoy it because it's not cookie cutter. It's not repetitious. It's very exciting. And I have had the privilege of seeing things like one of the clients, I mean, when he was coming out of college, that's how long I worked with some people 20 plus years. He came out of college, didn't want to blow it. He said, I've been living like a pauper. Now I'm really going to make some money. And what we ended up doing is he bought some land, but I got to watch him buy the land, build the house of his dreams, acquire some other land, do some things. He married rather late, married. I've seen that. I've seen other people that when they passed away, their estates were preserved. You know, that worked. I've seen business owners who were really struggling dramatically increase their profits. Things got easier. So I really get the privilege of seeing the positive changes and then what that does to the person.
Wow. You know what? That's a huge, I mean, it's a huge thing that you're doing there. I mean, in a lot of different sectors of finance, but just even the basics. I don't believe that we are educated properly at all in school on any of that. I know I came out of high school and I bought a hair salon at 19 with my sister. And, you know, I got to learn kind of just going through the motions, but we're not taught that stuff. We're not taught that stuff at school unless you go, maybe you go to university and you take finance and but these are life skills.
Yes.
These are
And
life skills, and most of us do not have an effing clue, excuse my language, and you just see it all over the place. And I think it's such a disservice to all of us, because so many mistakes that are made that with just that bit of knowledge or that little bit of education.
And a lot of individuals, and it depends upon how your parents thought about money, whether they talked about money or shared it, or if they were always in debt, you thought this was normal for everybody. If the lights were being turned off, you think this is normal for everybody. Or if there was more than enough money always for everything, you just always thought this was the way it was. And then you went out and got your first job and realized that, wow, it takes a lot more money than I thought. And with some of these things, I see a lot of entrepreneurs. They were employees and they were fabulous at it. And so as being a fabulous employee, they said, well, I'm going to work out, I'm going to become my own boss. There is a huge leap between being an employee and not being responsible for the company, only your position, to now, whatever your company is, whether it was a beauty salon or you're an independent consultant, I don't care what you do. There's a huge leap in the responsibilities in being an owner. And not only that, but you are responsible for everything the employees do, the hiring of the employees, the paying of the payroll, the taxes, everything else. And there is a difficult time sometimes for people to bridge from being that to being an owner, and then not knowing where to go to get the information. I'm going to throw a couple of examples out. I have some things in working with owners. Well, does your advertising have a return on investment? I don't even know what a return on investment is. Okay. We need to work on that, because when you spend your money on advertising, you can't spend $5,000 and no customers come in the door, or they only come in and spend $300. There's no money here. If we spend $5,000 on advertising, and when we sell our widgets, you make $10,000 in profit, now you have a return on investment. And I've also worked with them on, employees. They don't really have any clue how much an employee costs when you think about only their wages and matching Social Security. Well, I believe there's more steps to that. I believe there's the wages, then there's your unemployment cost, your work comp cost. You have to pay to train them. Do they need a computer to work on? Do they have to have a workspace? How much does it cost to really provide this position? And that could be a reason why a company is not making the money they thought, because maybe they budgeted this employee at $40,000 a year. And when we really break it down, this employee is costing you $68,000 a year. That's huge. So there are many different things that you can help someone and teach them, and then they can replicate it. But where do you go to get it? And that was part of the catalyst for me from moving from working so much on one-on-one to go into a larger platform, because I know the need is there and they don't know where to get it.
100%. 100%. Where do you go to get it? And when you're small and you're thinking, I don't have a lot of money, so I don't have money for a big education, and right. So that's big.
Yeah. And so I've got, I have a ton of courses. I have over 3 dozen courses up and different things. So, if you need this topic, in a very short time, I purposely did videos very short. You don't have 8 weeks to spend an hour a week. People don't. You're busy. You're a business owner, where you can watch that. A lot of them have workbooks that will walk you through the formulas that you can replicate or you can pass off to an employee. You've got the concept. You can do this. You can make it. All right, we got this. Now we can go to the next area. Because some small companies, or like you're it. You can only pass off so much, and if nobody else is there and you're it, you have to be able to do it pretty quickly and learn it, and so then you can pass it on. Now, if you've already got 10 people working for you, well, you do this and you do this, and you can work on 2 or 3 areas at a time. But every company is a little different, and so I've seen the results. I've been able to witness it, and it just made more sense for me to do this on a much larger level. with
I love that, Amy. I love that. That's
And
wonderful.
it's a passion of mine that I also really work on. I will call it business succession planning, or having the business sellable every day. I believe every business, this podcast, everything should be sellable from day one, because you don't know when you're going to sell it. And I've been there, and suddenly the world changed and sold it within 7 days, let it go. And those are things are really important, because if the owner is the company and we don't have mechanisms in place, we lose the owner to an illness, an accident, or death, and the company implodes. All of those employees' jobs disappear, the revenue, the family, all of that investment disappears. So I'm very big on making sure that all of the effort you have put into this has the ability to continue, whether you want to continue it or not, or you can't. And my good girlfriend, Leanne, she has a phrase that I love. You know, life happens not the way you expect it to. It happens anyway.
It just is.
It does.
Well, so when I post our video, can you give me all of that information so I can link it to this video, so that our viewers can get access to, I mean, that's incredible information.
Absolutely. And one of the links that I'll give you is for a free ebook that I have. And I save this kind of towards the end too. So those of you who have stuck with us, it's like a reward. It'll have the link to the free ebook, and that is 7 ways to add $10,000 to $100,000 to your bottom line. And that's really for my business owners. But there's also a link there that you can book a call with me if you want to just visit, ask questions, don't know where to go. You could call me, we'll do a quick, 15, 30 minutes. And if I am not the resource you're looking for, then I'll try and point you in the direction that you need to go.
Beautiful. So beautiful. You know what? That's invaluable. Invaluable. It's not very often that you come across somebody like you. So I think that, yeah, what a little gold nugget you are over in the little Virgin Islands. So
and right now I have the time that I can do those. Now, as the world and things changes, if I get really busy, then I have to pull that back. So just letting you know, I appreciate you being here. But if you happen to watch this, a year or two from now, and you're going, well, there's nothing there. Well, reach out to me and I'll do something. But it also can depend upon my calendar on when I have time.
Of course, right? And how are you faring through these? What's happening in the Virgin Islands? Is it COVID friendly? Are you guys on masks? Are we on lockdown? Where are we over there? What's happening over there?
We've done all those things. We are still on masks and stuff in public places. And when you look at my background on my picture, one of the advantages that we have here is that we do indoor-outdoor living all the time. So I have the privilege of, I have a lot of fresh air. We can go to the beach. You stay away from each other. So we're still able to do some things. We're not locked down as severely as some communities we were, but we are struggling. We have a very small population here, 3 main islands, really. And on our 3 main islands, there's maybe 100,000. So we're like a big little town down here, folks. And with that, we just don't have the large medical facilities that you do. So our concern is always overwhelming the limited medical facilities that we have. Anything that is really significant here, normally you are life flighted or air flighted out to Miami or Puerto Rico. But when you are positive for COVID, that's not going to happen. And especially when you're ventilated and those type of things. So our struggle has been to keep the infection rate low enough to not overwhelm our medical facilities. And I have seen that I've lost 3 family members to COVID. So my personal feeling is it's very real. And You know, I've seen the areas that they lived in where the hospitals were full, the waiting rooms were full, they had rooms in the hallway, and you know, there was no room at the end. They actually set up kind of like a MASH unit, for lack of a better term, at an arena for the overflow.
And where was this, where you're living?
That was in Kansas.
In Kansas.
It was Kansas. So our big thing is managing, you know, so that our resources aren't overwhelmed. People here are tired, just like they are there. They're tired of masks. They're tired of being in. The kids are tired of not going to school. I have been homeschooling my 3 grandchildren for a few years, so a lot of things did not change for us. What changed for us were a lot of the other activities we had been doing, because all of us, you know, kind of closed in. And the public schools here are going back in session, and they will continue to be virtual. And I think every community knows what the right answer is for them. But being a homeschool parent, some people will crack their head and go, oh, one of those, huh? Let me just tell you that this homeschool parent feels like it is the parent's right and privilege, and the parent knows what that child needs. And if you think your child needs to be in public school or private school, unschooled, boarding school, homeschool, I just want to help protect your right to do that, so that your children and my children can absolutely thrive whatever they need. And I think a lot of the educational areas are struggling to try to provide that in what has been a much more extended crisis than they ever anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're just, you know, with going back to school here soon, we're just contemplating that as well, as to homeschool, or which, you know, from our one daughter, I think definitely, you know, and like every child's different, right? So our other child wants to go to school. She, you know, but it's just, you know, whatever's going to be the best for each individual is how you have to work it, right? I believe too.
You are the parent, and you will know the right decision for each one of your children, but it doesn't mean that it's the same decision for each child, because they're individual. I will give this one plug. If you are considering homeschooling or you're looking stuff, wonderful organization, great resources is hslda.org, which is Homeschool Legal Defense Association. I think it's like $200 a year. I highly recommend it. Excellent resource legally, and then also on a whole bunch of other things.
What
and
was it? One
it's
more
called
time.
H as in Harry, S as in Sam, L as in Larry, D as in David, A as in Apple.org. Homeschool Legal Defense Association.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because I was kind of just looking into that as well. And then we were thinking, you know, if we decide to go, kind of gearing up maybe in a year, that we would go and try and do sailing and school the kids on a catamaran, like big catamaran or whatever. So it would be kind of that same idea, right? Where you travel and they're
excellent. And they're also very helpful, because every state has their own regulations and rules and whatever. So they're very well versed on that. Great source. And there are individuals I know who have done the travel lifestyle that you're talking about. And some of them take full-time online schools. And so the kids, you know, that assumes you got to have internet access, or they have it just computer-based where it's not hooked up to the internet, or they use school books. So if you do decide to do that, you have options. Yeah. And again, your parents will know what is the best option for my child. And there's also something, we've gone in a different direction here. Have you ever heard of unschooling?
No.
Okay, unschooling is also a form of education that some families embrace. Unschooling is where my child has a topic and we build everything around it. Let's pretend my son wants to be an astronaut. And I don't know, my daughter, she wants to be a graphic artist. That's what they want. So for my son, I may be looking for science books. I'll be looking for programs and series. Maybe I'm looking at astronaut camp. He's going to need science. I'm going to find out what he needs in order to be an astronaut. What are the basic criteria? And we're going to build it and everything he lives, eats, and breathes until he decides he doesn't want to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Be about that. And hers is going to be graphic artist. Maybe I get her a Cintiq. Maybe I, enroll her in a free college course. I think about things to do. And then if they say, oh, this is great, but I'd really like to know about pirates now. All right. So we're going to do history about the pirates, and unschooling is where it's more child driven on the topic that they most enjoy. And then they may have to write book report. I mean, whatever it is, you can build your science, English, math, all of those things in it. If you wanted to be a pirate, here's one I could think of. You want to be a pirate. Well, I need you to learn how to navigate the globe and calculate the nautical miles and how long is this going to take. And if this is the current, I need you to look this all up. So see how unschooling is very different, but you can incorporate whatever that child's talents or what their curiosity is.
Yeah.
So that's called unschooling. And again, folks, we're just kind of going all over the board here, but that works very well in some families.
Yeah.
And what sailing, there's the sailing dad. I forget who he is, but I think he's got a YouTube channel or something.
Yeah.
But, his is, yes, we're doing, so today's sailing homeschool is how do you maintain the boat? These are life skills.
Life skills. These are sometimes a lot more important than those 4 walls and those 22 children that are doing the same thing that they did yesterday.
Learn how to fix the desalination. You got to have this. Why do we do this? To get the bacteria out of the water, So when I'm saying that, any parent can teach their child. You taught your child from birth up until they went to school, and nobody thought you were an idiot. So once your child goes to school, whatever school is for you, you didn't suddenly become an idiot because they went to school.
That's right.
How many of you help kids do homework? Okay.
I think that's always the scary thing for me as a parent to do homeschooling, is the fact of I'm not a teacher. I don't have the patience as a teacher would have in a classroom with my children, because of course they give you the attitude, right? And the attitude then does, yeah. So there's always kind of that wall. But I think that if there's like a criteria, and then you can bring something that's like actual real world and fun, and then you're both kind of learning and having an experience together. I mean, I think that there's so much more that can be brought into that relationship as a parent-child, and just from working through different situations, like you're saying, right?
And build on
how.
One of the things you said earlier was about lift up. We're all here to lift up. When we were working on some new homeschool laws in the Virgin Islands, HSLDA, Scott Woodruff, the attorney there, came down. And of course, we had a learning curve in several things. One of the things as part of our testimony that we researched and we learned, because there was a question about what minimum credentials did a parent have to effectively teach a child. Okay. Well, there have been a lot of studies, and there have been some pretty groundbreaking studies, but I found this to be absolutely amazing. If you were a parent and you never finished school for whatever reason, that does not disqualify you from teaching your child, because what they have determined is if they start working with their child and teaching their child and going through the curriculum, the parent's education level goes up along with the child, and the education level in the entire house increases along with the earnings. And so there is a direct correlation when you have a parent who is maybe been education challenged for whatever reason,
Right.
to go along with the child and to bring them and the household up. And I thought that was very, very interesting, and it's very telling. And so what credentials does a parent need to have? Parenthood,
just a willingness and some compassion and some love, I think, right? And if you've got that in the mix and you're going to jump in with your child to do something and move through something, I think, like you say, right? I mean, the thousandfold is the benefit.
Exactly. And you know what? If you do not want to be an algebra teacher, you can get a tutor for that. There's another really good, for those of you who are parents, if you have not heard about it, it's called Khan Academy. K is in King, H is in Harry, A is in Apple, N is in Nancy, Academy. Khan Academy is a fabulous resource. Any parent, any child, you don't know how to do something, you can go to Khan Academy and they have a wonderful video and teaching tools. It's absolutely free. Yeah. And that is another wonderful resource, no matter where your child is going to school. If you've never heard of Khan Academy, oh, definitely look it up.
Yeah, I remember watching the 60 Minutes show on that years ago, and it was an uncle and his niece, and he was trying to help her, and and how it all blossomed. And was it Bill Gates who funded all that?
I don't know, but it's a fabulous resource.
It has everything for every grade, for every item, right?
So you're a parent, you're equipped. You're equipped. If you don't know it, you go get help to do it, and that's okay.
Right. That's the ego again. Just check the ego, because it's not even real, right? It's, some people just won't ask because they just don't want someone to know that they might not know.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. Okay, you don't have to be good at that. Somebody else can be good at that. And that's okay. Or maybe you want to get good at it. And I have learned in my life, there are some things I am not good at. And I could practice them a lot and I still don't like it. And chances are I am going to be proficient, but I'm not going to be good at it. I would much rather spend my time doing something I enjoy, something that I'm good at, and let somebody else do what I just don't have that gift for.
Yeah.
Your kids are the same way. There are the basic things that they have to learn, but if they are just not the math king and queen and there's agony, but they are doing, we had this with one of our child. She's an amazing artist, absolutely amazing. She had the gift very early. She does not want to be an astronaut. She didn't. These were numbers. So we gave her the tools that we thought would help her be a phenomenal artist, because that's where she was going.
Love it.
Okay. So your child.
Yeah. And, we're not, in my family, we're more right-brained, right? And not left-brained, right? And I grew up with left brains and I was the right brain. And so, sisters graduating at 16 years of age, going through engineering on the dean's list, that kind of stuff, right? And then here's me, and I'm, it's not even of, you've got to grasp their interests. But once I got into the science and the hair and all the different, everything I wrote was 100%. And here I had grown up thinking I was stupid up until that point, and I just hadn't found my thing, right? And then, we're all just built different, right? And so, nourishing that person where they're at and not trying to fit everybody in the box, right? The societal box that just we're all trying to get into. It's like Cinderella with the shoe, that nobody really quite fits it, but everybody tries to anyways.
Some of you parents, like I said, we never knew where we're going to go, but for some of you parents, it may be your dream for your child to go to college. It may not be your child's dream to go that route. There are many, many successful people who have not taken the college route. And there are many successful people who have absolutely strive and they are thrive in the college environment. You can't always get a child to live your dream. It's yours. Just like if in a business, I could have a wonderful business And my dream is my kids are going to follow me in my business. And it is the furthest thing from what they would want to do. Not going to happen. And it's okay. But if they're not going to go to college and you see the talent, you have a child who loves to take things apart and put them back together and build their own special computers. I mean, they're an electronic whiz. Maybe they're going to go out and that's what they're going to do. They're going to be this electronic whiz or electrician or whatever it is. That's great. You know, they're going to be, I love this word, influencer. We never had that word. They're going to go on TikTok and they've already, you know, and you just don't know what's, and then they say something, well, I've got 48,000 followers, which is, you're like,
Right.
you're doing, what are you, I don't, you know. But it's very different where their talents may lie and what their opportunities may be. You just have to nurture and give them the tools. But I will say that this is this, Mama. I do not, oh, please, Lord, don't make me my words. Lord, please don't let even my children and grandchildren be absolute addicts to video games to where all they can do is do a video that grab this. Please, Lord, not that. Please, Lord. I'd like to see them do more than that. I think, you know, games are great for entertainment, but I see some of these individuals that their whole life is these games. And I guess unless you can monetize it, I'm not sure that
it's a tough one right now, right? And because those games, I mean, they're developed to addict. They're developed to pull, to put the claws in right in the beginning. And so it's a challenge, I believe, for a lot of families, right? I mean, there's some kids that just don't really care and don't really have the interest, but the ones that do have the interest, it's a tough one, right? Because they are meant to hook them and they know how to hook them. It's a very, a lot of money put behind those things to get our children.
Which again creates jobs and they pay well for developers and everything else. But I think there was part of the disconnect between some of the generations is many of us were used to playing games that had an end. If you played Scrabble, Monopoly, Chutes and Ladders, Risk, Sorry, I mean, anything you can think of, Monopoly, all of these games, they had an end. And most of the video type games they're not designed for you to accomplish an end. There's always another level or a different room or something else. It's just a very different design from what people have been used to, because of course we didn't have the technology and everything else. Can you imagine? I assume you played board games or card games. You know, we did Risk, Rook, all kinds of different stuff. Can you imagine if you would have started it up and you knew that you were never going to finish the game?
Yeah, no thanks.
It would have been, but we couldn't even have comprehended that because there was no game that we played that someday there wouldn't be an end. So for some of us, it's a little harder because that was not the model that we were familiar with. But a lot of the younger generations and ones are coming in, and their model is that there never is an end. And that's where I see sometimes between the generations, aren't you done with that yet? Well, no, he's never going to be done.
Yeah, see, and I don't even know that. I didn't even realize that. Interesting.
Never finish.
Yeah. Thanks, Amy. And thank you to everybody for joining in and sharing this time with me and Amy and our life adventures, the Natural Healing Wheel. Thanks. Bye now.